Welcome to our deep dive into the state of literacy across Africa. Now you might be thinking, Africa? That's a whole continent, Trevor. Isn't that a bit broad? And you'd be right, it's massive. But that's why we're narrowing our focus today on the 10 least literate nations on the continent. We're talking about the challenges, the triumphs, and the stories behind the numbers. Let's get started. All right, first up, we're heading to Niger, a country rich in culture and history, but facing significant challenges in education. Now, Niger holds the unfortunate title of least literate country in Africa. It's a place where the thirst for knowledge is palpable, yet resources are scarce. We're talking about a mere 19% of adults being able to read and write. Imagine trying to navigate life without being able to understand basic text. It's a daily struggle for many. That's like trying to find a decent bagel in a city that only sells croissants. It's tough out there. Literacy is not just about reading books, it's about accessing information, understanding rights, and improving livelihoods. The government's trying. They've made primary school free, but enrollment's still low, especially for girls. Schools are often far from home, and the journey can be dangerous.
See, tradition often dictates that girls are prepped for marriage and home life, not classrooms. They are expected to help with household chores, fetch water, and prepare food, leaving little time for education. Plus, many folks in Niger work the land. Agriculture's the game, and they might figure, hey, I can tell a tomato from a potato. Who needs Shakespeare? But literacy is more than just reading literature. It's about understanding crop instructions, managing finances, and improving farming techniques. Community efforts are underway to change this mindset. Local leaders and NGOs are working tirelessly to promote the importance of education, especially for girls. They are setting up literacy programs and encouraging families to send their children to school. Despite the challenges, there are glimmers of hope. Children are eager to learn, and teachers are dedicated to making a difference, even if it means teaching under a tree or in makeshift classrooms. The road to literacy in Niger is long and winding, but with continued effort and support, there's hope that one day, every child will have the opportunity to read, write, and dream big.
Next, we're hopping over to Guinea, a country rich in culture and natural beauty, but facing significant challenges in education. Now, Guinea's literacy rate is hovering around 30%. This means that out of every 10 people, only 3 can read and write proficiently. Better than Niger, sure, but still imagine trying to have a WhatsApp group chat where 70% of the people are just staring blankly at the screen. It's not just about reading, it's about being able to participate in the modern world. It's a communication breakdown of epic proportions. Students struggle to understand basic instructions, let alone complex subjects. The problem? Well, public schools aren't exactly overflowing with resources. Classrooms are overcrowded, and students often have to share textbooks and other materials.
Imagine teachers trying to explain algebra with a half-erased chalkboard. They do their best, but the tools they have are woefully inadequate. And a textbook held together by hope and duct tape. These books are often outdated and falling apart, making it even harder for students to learn. It's a struggle. And to top it off, the government only allocates a measly 1% of its budget to education. This lack of funding means that schools can't afford to improve their facilities or provide better materials. That's like ordering a large pizza and only getting one slice. It's simply not enough to meet the needs of the students. Come on, Guinea, you deserve better than that. The children of Guinea are full of potential and hope. With the right support and resources, they can achieve great things. It's time for the community and international organizations to step in and help bridge the gap. Together, we can make a difference and ensure that every child in Guinea has access to quality education. Imagine a future where every child in Guinea can read, write, and thrive. It's possible, but it starts with us recognizing the crisis and taking action.
Okay, let's talk about South Sudan. Now, South Sudan's been through the ringer, folks. Decades of conflict and unrest have left their mark, and the literacy rate reflects that, sitting at around 32%. Imagine trying to rebuild a house after a hurricane, except the hurricane lasted for 50 years. That's South Sudan's reality.
But here's the thing about South Sudanese people. They're resilient. They gained independence in 2011, and since then, they've been working tirelessly to improve education for everyone. It's like they say, you can knock us down, but you can't keep us down.
Moving on to Mali, we're seeing a familiar story: poverty and a glaring gender gap in education.
Mali's literacy rate is about 33%, but when you break it down by gender, it gets stark.
Over 40% of men can read and write, but for women, it's barely over 20%. It's like having a library where only half the shelves are stocked.
Education's free in Mali, but books, uniforms, those hidden costs add up.
And when you're struggling to put food on the table, education can feel like a luxury, not a right.
Central African Republic, our next stop, faces a literacy rate of just 37%. Now you might be thinking, okay, that's bad, but we've seen worse.
But here's the kicker. The HIV/AIDS epidemic hit the Central African Republic hard, and it decimated the education system.
Imagine losing a generation of teachers, mentors, and role models.
It's like trying to bake a cake with no recipe and half the ingredients missing.
It's a tough situation, but they're fighting back, rebuilding, and trying to create a brighter future for their children. Now, let's talk about Burkina Faso. Their literacy rate is only 38%, but hold on, don't despair just yet. Back in 1991, it was a dismal 13%. That's right, they've more than doubled their literacy rate in a few decades. It's like watching a tortoise win a marathon, slow and steady, but they get there. Burkina Faso shows us that change is possible, even against the odds. They're investing in education, empowering their people, and proving that knowledge is power. Chapter 7, Benin, free education, big impact. Next up, Benin. They're tied with Burkina Faso at a 38% literacy rate. But here's the thing. Benin made a bold move in 2007. They made public education free. And guess what? Enrollment skyrocketed and the literacy rate jumped by 10%. It's like offering free pizza at a college campus. You're going to get a crowd. Benin proves that sometimes the simplest solutions are the most effective. Invest in education, remove the barriers, and watch the knowledge flow. Chapter 8, Chad, from conflict to classrooms. Chad, our next stop, has a literacy rate of around 40%. Now, Chad's been through its fair share of turmoil and conflict, but they're turning things around. Back in 1993, their literacy rate was a paltry 10%. But they've been making steady progress, investing in teacher training, improving school environments, and prioritizing education. It's like they say, you can't have peace without education. Chad's showing us that even in the face of adversity, knowledge is the key to a brighter future. Chapter 9, Côte d'Ivoire, investing in the future. Côte d'Ivoire comes in at number 9 with a 43% literacy rate. This might seem low at first glance, but it's important to understand the context and the journey they've been on. Now that might not sound great, but here's the thing, they've made remarkable progress since the 1980s. Back then, the literacy rate was significantly lower and the educational infrastructure was not as developed. Back then, only a third of the population could read and write. The classrooms were often overcrowded and resources were scarce. The government recognized the need for change and took decisive action. Côte d'Ivoire decided to go all in on education, investing a higher percentage of their budget than almost any other country in the world. This commitment to education has been unwavering, with continuous efforts to improve the quality of teaching and learning. It's like they say, you've got to spend money to make money. The government has poured resources into building new schools, training teachers, and providing students with the necessary materials to succeed. Well, Côte d'Ivoire's spending money to educate their people, and that's an investment that will pay off for generations to come. The impact of this investment is already visible, with more children graduating and pursuing higher education, leading to a more skilled and knowledgeable workforce. The ripple effect of a well-educated population extends beyond individual success. It strengthens communities, boosts the economy, and fosters innovation. Parents are more engaged in their children's education, and local businesses are thriving as a result of a more educated populace. Looking ahead, Côte d'Ivoire is poised to continue this upward trajectory. With ongoing investments and a focus on integrating technology into education, the future looks bright for the next generation. The country's commitment to education is a testament to its belief in the power of knowledge to transform lives and build a better future for all. Chapter 10. Liberia rising from the ashes. Last but not least, we arrive at Liberia. They've got a 48% literacy rate, which, let's be honest, still needs work. But here's the thing. Liberia's been ravaged by war and conflict. Imagine trying to learn your ABCs while bombs are going off outside. It's tough to focus on fractions when you're worried about your family's safety. But Liberia's not giving up. They're rebuilding their nation, brick by brick, book by book. They're proving that even in the darkest of times, the light of knowledge can never be extinguished. Outro, a call to action. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the least literate nations of Africa. It's clear that while progress is being made, there's still a long way to go. These aren't just statistics, they're people, individuals with dreams, aspirations, and the potential to change the world. So, stay informed, support global education initiatives, and let's work together to ensure that everyone, everywhere, has the opportunity to unlock the power of literacy.